everybody. Welcome to In This Corner of the podcast. A buck 48. Boxing's biggest names, boxing's biggest stories, boxing's biggest fights, and we have one of those to dissect and break down today. Boxing's greatest memories and moments. I think we've got something for you there as well later on, and we do it all with boxing writer, author, historian, CompuBox counter, Lee Groves. How you doing, Lee?
Doing well, Smitty. You know, the good news is it's warmer than it was last week, but the bad news is it's still cold, hence the jacket.
Yeah. And we have a big fight I mentioned to break down, and we will assemble our panel of trainer extraordinaire from the world class boxing gym, Mr. Tommy Yankello, and former two-time champion at a buck 40, Rougarou Regis Prograis, scheduled to be with us as well to talk about a pair of unbeaten pugilistic Davids who both look like Goliaths right now. We'll see how they look when they meet on tonight, actually, here in Las Vegas. Unbeaten David Benavidez, unbeaten David Morrell, and I think this is going to be a blockbuster, a barn burner, and we'll get to that. But I know you've got some stuff on what you think. You feel is a pretty damn good undercard leading up to it.
It is a pretty good undercard, all things considered. And if there's a theme that can be used for this four-fight pay-per-view, it would be this. These are 8 fighters who are looking to get back on the right track. Benavidez and Morrell are still undefeated, but they didn't exactly set the world on fire in the most recent fights against Vostik and Kalajic. And because of that, I think they want to produce highlight reel stuff tonight. As far as the undercard is concerned, it will begin with a crossroads fight between Jesus Ramos, who is 2 fights removed from a very controversial decision loss to Erickson Lubin that many thought he should have won, and former unified 154-pound champ Jason Rosario, who's coming off a draw against another 2-belt champ in Jarrett Hurd. I thought he should have won. It was a draw. He should have won. I think Ramos will be the aggressor, and I believe his attack will slowly wear down Rosario and take him out. The next fight on the card would be a showdown between Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Angel Fierro. Cruz lost his WBA 140-pound belt in his last fight. It was considered an upset against Jose Valenzuela Jr. because Valenzuela brilliantly used his far superior height and reach advantages. He's not going to have to worry about that against Fierro, who is 2 fights removed from a decision loss against Alfredo Santiago. And that's because Fierro will come right at Cruz, and Cruz will come right at Fierro. If the main event doesn't live up to its billing, this is a fight that could end up stealing the show. And I like Cruz to win on points. The co-main event will be a rematch between Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton, and it's for Figueroa's WBC featherweight title. Many thought Figueroa did enough to beat Fulton in November 2021, but Fulton won by a majority decision. Figueroa has won 3 in a row since then, and he wants revenge. Meanwhile, Fulton beat Daniel Roman impressively, was knocked out in 8 by the monster Naoya Inoue, and I thought he was fortunate to have won an off-the-floor split decision against Carlos Castro. The same Carlos Castro Figueroa beat in his first comeback fight after losing to Fulton. I expect a war here, and I think this time Figueroa will get the W that many thought he should have got the last time.
In setting up, before Tommy comes on, if you will, just set up Benavidez and Morrell, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of fight that I think boxing should make every 6 to 8 weeks because these are 2 undefeated guys. They're in their late 20s. I think Benavidez is 28, Morrell's 27. Both of them are predators. Both of them are dynamic. They're aggressive. They're ambitious. And it's really refreshing. Yes, both of them wanted to fight Canelo, and they could have chosen to wait and wait and wait and stay busy and then cash in their lottery ticket. Well, they didn't decide. They didn't do that. They went up to 175, probably a healthier weight for both of them. They had a fight under their belts. Bozdik and Kalajic. They went the distance. They got 12 rounds of experience against two pretty good light heavyweights. And now they're matching up against each other, and they have a history. They've been looking at this fight for a couple of years, and they've
What's the
been trading some
contracted
notes.
weight for this fight? What's the contracted weight?
I think it's 175.
I
Both
thought.
of them are secondary champions at
Yeah.
175. I think both of their belts are on the line. I'm not sure. But the winner of this fight is going to have one of two choices, and they're both really good. One
Yeah.
is a possible fight with Canelo. The other is the winner of the undisputed fight rematch between Beterbiev and Bivol, which is going to take place February 22nd.
And if it's the kind of fight I expect it to be, I wouldn't be surprised at a rematch. We
Yeah.
actually now, from time to time, thanks to Turk Al Sheikh, we kind of get those from time to time, and they'll be coming at it from different sides. Benavidez, the orthodox fighter, a little bit taller than the southpaw Morrell, who has 4 inches in reach. And as you said, despite both being able to box, especially the slick Cuban, um, these guys are predators. So it is
Yeah.
going to be predatorial. And we'll see what the other experts have to say. Tommy Yankello coming up after this.
I got two options. Option one, I can accept defeat. Option two, I can get up. I can get tougher. I can get faster. I can get stronger. And then I go get mine. I made my choice. Have you made yours?
Back in this corner of the podcast, a buck 48, and joined by from the world class boxing gym, he is trainer extraordinaire Tommy Yankello. How you doing, Tommy?
Great. How are you guys?
We are well, and we were. You got a lot of accolades and plaudits last week on the show. Every fighter in North America and surrounding continents are after Tommy Yankello now to be in their corner. You're gonna make so much money the next few months. We'll never see him again, Lee. He'll be gone. He will forget about us, man.
Nah, that's not.
Anyway, it was great to hear and great to have Spatafor on the show and talking about the great stuff that you do. But let's talk about a great fight that's going to take place tonight right here in Las Vegas. Two Davids and both Goliaths thus far. They're both unbeaten. David Benavidez, David Morrell, and I actually will flip it to Lee because he's got some great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, size up David Benavidez. From a trainer standpoint, a technical standpoint, what does Benavidez do well, and what does he need to do to win this fight?
Well, he's a great pressure fighter. He knows what he's doing. He throws a lot of touch shots and a lot of setup punches. He goes to the body real well. He mixes up his speeds. Personally, I feel he could use his jab more, and I think he used his lead hand better. But he is a true pressure fighter, and I mean, he knows how to methodically break you down. Like he's done that in these fights against Caleb Plant, guys that have started out well against him, but he just sticks. He is just like methodically breaking you down. It's an accumulation effect, and he knows how. He has great high volume. He throws a lot of combinations, and like I said, a lot of shots where he's just touching you to the body to set you up, and he knows how to put his combinations together. He's a true methodical, break you down kind of fighter.
And
He
by
will.
the way, I do agree with you about the jab. There are times if somebody survives the onslaught with him early, he languishes sometimes in the mid rounds, and it's like he's trying to set up stuff, and the other fighter, his opponent, has gotten used to that. And I think that jab as a range finder or other things would even help him improve. I agree with you.
It's going to set up even more. I mean, he would be even better. I
Yeah.
mean, if I was to come on board with someone like him, I would be working on that and some of his footwork, because sometimes he gets methodical. We're at the point where he's there to be hit. little steps to one angle or the other could be a little bit better at times. But he's proven that he's a very, very credible fighter. I mean,
Yeah, very, very much so. Are you concerned? The last few of his fights, he's gotten off to slow starts. It took him a while to get warmed up against Plant, against Boo Boo Andrade, who's also a southpaw, by the way, like David Morrell. Are you concerned about the slow starts as of late?
yeah, that's a problem for and Morrell. I mean, I see Morrell as being the bigger, better version, the much bigger, better version of Andrade. Like he's going to try to fight him like Andrade did. Um, Demetrius. I just think that he pops more of a punch. He's taller, he's bigger, he's stronger. He has good feet. Yeah, he has good feet. Like Demetrius had good feet as a littler guy, though. He was just uh, Benavidez was able to just accumulate so much more because he wasn't getting hit. He didn't have the resistance coming back at him. Like Morrell's got punching power to stop him in his tracks and to really get his respect. And when you get a guy's respect, then you're able to do things in the middle of the ring and able to make those angles a lot easier, a lot smoother because you don't have that pressure because the guy is a little bit hesitant because he's feeling that resistance. So it's a style matchup. It's styles make fights, and this is a tough style for David Benavidez. I think that David Morrell is he's got everything that it takes to beat uh, David Benavidez. I think it's a heck of a fight, man. This is so close. It's a
Very
really
much
close
so.
fight.
Very much so. Benavidez has been through the pay-per-view grind, but this is the first time for David Morrell. If you were his trainer, you're a very experienced trainer. What advice would you give Morrell to deal with all this extra attention, all these extra media responsibilities, and yet still be at peak when fight time comes around?
I mean, just a lot of teaching in the gym on what he needs to do to win the fight, and just really going over it and over and over. So that's what consumes his mind. He's got to stay focused on the task at hand. Um, a fighter that's not taught can't be coached. But if he's taught in the gym and he comes to this week where he is totally focused, they're a razor like focus. I mean, razor like focus on what he needs to do. There shouldn't be this. You know, I mean, they're all, they don't seem like they don't like each other, right? There's some real animosity there. That needs to be contained. You know what I mean? That needs to be in his mind. He needs to really don't get caught up in that because Benavidez is the more experienced pro, and he's
Mhm.
been there before. He has the muscle memory of handling that. So how you handle that is to just keep yourself on what you're attempting to do the night of the fight. I mean, um, there's no really talking a guy out of like, okay, you don't, talking him out of like what he's got to do with the media or like let it. The only thing that keeps him out of his head is what I should say is to keep them focused on the game plan and the task at hand. You know what I mean? You really have to focus, and that's what has to happen in the gym. There has to be a true teaching and there has to be a true game plan, and it has to be that's something that carries you through because you have a plan, you have confidence in the plan, so you become more focused because you really believe in what you're going to do and you believe you can do it.
So who do you like?
It's a great fight, and I think it's a style matchup, a nightmare for Benavidez, and the simple fact that, like I said, I think that if you watch the Demetrius fight, he started off doing really good in that fight, and so did Caleb Plant, and they were boxing him and they were keeping the fight in the middle of the ring. Uh, Caleb Plant is not quite as strong as David Morrell. He's not coming from a southpaw angle, but he was able to give Benavidez a lot of trouble in that fight. I mean, the scores were, I mean, Benavidez caught up to him at the end, but it was a 115, 113 score, I believe, 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4, 7 rounds to 5, 8 rounds to 4. I see this fight being much, much closer. Uh, Man, it's hard to pick it
Come
here.
on, you're on a roll, baby.
I
No
know.
vacillation,
I
no
don't know why he's
ambiguity.
vacillating. He wants to be right.
I think that this is similar to the last fight that we just watched with um, Bival and Better
Better
Be,
be of.
because you have
And you got that one right.
Benavidez being the pressure fighter and Bival being more of the boxer. But the difference here is that Morrell, I think, cracks a little harder than Bival, and Benavidez is not quite the puncher that Better Beef is, but he puts more pressure and gives you more volume. So I think this fight is actually going to be high. I thought the last one was going to be, it was a great fight, but I thought it was going to even be more high drama. I think this one is going to be high drama. I think this is just I think this is a classic. But I think that Morrell is going to be winning this fight. I think he's going to be winning this fight. And I just look for Benavidez to come on strong at the end with the high volume. And you know what I mean? I just think it's going to be a fight where, just like the last fight, some people thought Bival won, some people thought Better Beef won. And I think it's going to be the same thing.
If you had to lean towards one of the Davids, which one are you going with?
Well, I'm going to say Benavidez is going to win a split decision and controversial. I think that a lot of people are going to think that David Morrell won this fight, but I think that Benavidez is going to get the nod, just like Better Beef got the nod. He's going to be more aggressive. He's going to higher volume. I think he might get hit with the bigger shots. I think both guys are going to get hit more than in the Better Beef
Yes.
Bival fight, because I think they're both going to, I think they both get hit more. I think that Bival's a little bit more in and out, you know, where David Morrell.
These guys are both predators.
Yes. Yeah. He's willing to be they're both willing to be I mean, Benavidez is a predator, and the other guy is willing to bang, and he's willing to you know, impose, say, hey, I'm a tough son of a gun. And he's going to bang right with him at times. And I think he has, like I said, the resistance, his punching power is going to get Benavidez, you know, get his respect. But I think Benavidez got a ton of heart. He's going to bring it on strong at the end. I think he's just going to squeak it out. I mean, it's like 50.5 to 49.5 on Benavidez. And I think a lot of people are going to think Morrell won the fight. I think that's how close it's going to be. But
Yeah.
I think it's a classic. I'm just going to nod towards Benavidez getting the nod, split decision. That's the way I see it.
Well, I'll be texting you after the fight. That's a great breakdown. Before we let you go, what's going on with all things Tom Yankello and the World Class Boxing Gym and your fighters? Give us a quick rundown of everything going on with you and what we can look forward to.
Well, February 8th, I have Danny Bodish fighting his third pro fight. That's one of the, Danny's one of the guys that is in a lot of my videos. You guys know who he is. And then I have Atif O'Burlton fighting again. He just fought a couple weeks ago. He's going to fight March 14th.
He's coming off a nice win.
Yeah, just won the WBC Continental. He should be ranked in the top 10 in the WBA next month. And that's the guy to watch, because I think that my guy has the ability to beat these guys. He sparred with Morrell and gave him fits. He sparred with Whitaker and gave him fits. Ben Whitaker, he's never been in the ring with Benavidez event yet, but Atif has, a very good amateur background. He's developing great as a pro, and he's a little younger than these guys, very hungry. And we're going to let these guys, tussle it out and fight each other. And then we're coming on strong. He's the guy to watch to come into the division.
Did anything happen with your trip abroad, going over to Saudi or to?
Well, my heavyweight suffered a shoulder injury in the last week of training, the last week and a half of training, and he had to pull out of the fight. And we're now he's in limbo of seeing what's going to go on with it. He possibly could fight at the end of March. He's supposed to come here next week, and we're going to have some physical therapists working with him. He's doing physical therapy in Kazakhstan right now. But yeah, it was a big setback, big letdown on that. But we're just going to move forward, hoping for the best, and hoping he can recover 100%.
That's fighters and shoulders. Boy, I know all. I'm old, but I know all about it. So. And your videos are fantastic. You can go to Tommy's YouTube channel. He's all over Instagram. The world-class boxing gym, and one hell of a world-class trainer he is. Tommy Yankello, thanks for joining us. And we expect, like you, a barn burner tonight with David versus David. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Lee. Thanks.
Back in this corner of the podcast, a buck 48, and joined by former two-time champion at a buck 40, Rougarou, Regis Prograis, who has a big fight coming up in just a few weeks in Anaheim, California. You were just texting us that you were getting tested by VADA. Why don't you
Yeah,
explain to the audience how that works?
Ryder's here right now. I was at the gym and you have to give today I had to give blood and urine. So, they show up to the gym and they gotta stick with you the whole until you finish everything. And so I gave a half a sample. I still have a little more to give. I still have to just give a little more urine.
Yeah. Or you tell VADA, I know, Mark, you tell VADA that Smitty says he's a clean damn athlete, ladies and gentlemen.
They know. Oh, they know. They know. I don't mess around. I don't put nothing in my body. They know that already,
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. As I flip to Lee, as we got a really big fight coming up that we're going to talk about. The two Davids going at it, Lee.
So as I understand it, you're going to be fighting Oscar Duarte.
Yes.
And so explain to us how the training has been going and especially the state of your ankle, which you blamed for the loss to Jack Catterall last time around. How's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
ankle?
I almost I blame that, but yeah, my ankle is definitely fine. I'm definitely putting on better shoes for this fight for sure. Definitely not putting the same shoes on, putting better shoes on. But training has been going. Like for me, this training camp has been it's been really great, and I feel like, man, like the last maybe year and a half, I had a lot of bad energy around me, and I'm kind of cleaning it up. It's not all gone, but I've been kind of cleaning a lot of stuff up around me, and just I just feel like just the resurrection. Like I feel like I'm just feeling way better. And this training camp is the first training camp I ever did. Like away from my house, really, with no distractions. I switched with me and my dad switch houses. I let him stay by me and I'm my house, and I'm staying by his house. And I just train, eat, rest, and wake up and train again. That's all I've been doing. And I go home on the weekends. And I do feel like this is going to separate me right now in my career, in my life, in my career. And I never did it before. It's like something I feel like at this stage in my career, I feel like I have to do it. It's just like be more serious about it and do a lot of sacrifice. And I became a two-time champion, really not even doing that. And so now I feel like if I really want to be a three-time champion, I have to switch some things up and just focus more. And that's kind of what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Size up Duarte for us. What does he bring to the table? How do you see him?
Tough Mexican. He comes forward, throw a lot of punches. He's tough, strong. That's what he looks like, from what I understand. From what I see. Yeah, he's just strong, tough, Mexican. He's gonna keep coming, and
Hittable
that's
though.
what I
He's
see.
hittable.
Yeah, and yeah, hittable for sure. Yeah, it's strong, but we'll see. We'll see what he can take from me.
Certainly a different kind of fighter. Devin Haney boxed you. Jack Catterall boxed you. This guy's going to be right there for you.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't sometimes I feel like he definitely will be trying to he should be right there for me, but at the same time we thought the same thing was Zorilla. When I fought Zorilla, he was, we looked at him and he was, right there. He was supposed to be right there. Then like he got in a fight and just ran around the whole time. So but I feel like, I think that Duarte should be right there. But I'm preparing for, no matter what he does, I'm preparing for all that stuff.
Well, everybody knows what the stakes are for you. You just turned 36 a few days ago. Happy
Hmm.
birthday.
Thank you.
You lost your last two fights and you struggled in the Zaria fight before that.
Right.
Many on the outside would say that you're in a win or else situation. Would you
Right.
agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I agree with it. I definitely agree with it. And that's what I'm saying. For me, that's why I changed things up for this camp. I changed a lot of stuff up, and um I I mean, I think that, I struggle with like mental stuff. Like I said, I didn't have I had a lot of bad stuff around me, bad energy, and I think if people know boxing is, I read the book, Mike Tyson book, and Cus D'Amato said that boxing is 90% mental, and I definitely feel like that because I can still do all physically, I can still do all the same stuff. So I know like it's definitely more mental with me than anything else. So I've been clearing all that stuff up, all the energy, all the bad energy around me. I've been clearing it up, and I'm just feeling. I feel better now. I feel like spiritually like clear and feel a lot better. So
You
I
know,
was like,
in boxing, that's why the old school guys and so many that I came up with, that's why there was a thing called training camp. And training camp meant separating yourself from everything except the sport of boxing. Everything.
right,
Marciano was known to go away and train like we used to call it a monk, be away from his family, away from his wife, away from kids, away from anybody, everybody except your team, that gets you ready. So no matter what happens, you're doing it, I think, the best way, for you at this
mhm.
point. Lee, switch gears and let's get his pick on this thing that's with Morrell and Benavidez. What a
Yeah,
fight!
let's switch up from a fighter's perspective. What do you think Benavidez does best, and what does he need to do to win the fight?
Man, I mean, I think hold on. I think the whatever what he has to do, just like I said, man, be himself. Everybody has to win by being them. He doesn't have to switch anything up. David Benavidez he's big, strong. He throws a lot of punches. He has to be himself. Now he is going up against somebody else that's I think that's big and strong also, but just has a different type of style. He can move around and all that type of stuff. But man, I feel like to win a fight, he has to be himself. Just go out there and do the same thing. I feel like he fought somebody similar with Andrade. Andrade was a kind of similar fight that this might be, but I do think David Morrell is stronger, a bigger puncher, and he's a little more slick also, and maybe younger. So yeah.
Yeah. How about David Morrell? What does he do best, and what does he need to do?
Same thing. Be yourself. Every fighter has to go out there and be themselves. He has to don't let David Benavidez impose his will. Don't let him use his size advantage and try to muscle him around and definitely don't let him get off, especially start throwing all those punches. He'll have to, stick and move, jab him and start putting the power on him when it's time. But yeah, I feel it's a I mean this is it's a real good fight. I'm cool with both of them. I know both Davids. Actually, I'm cool with Benavidez, and then I'm cool. Morrell actually came to my house before, so I might be. I'm cool with both of them. So yeah, it's just
All right,
I
here's
mean,
your pick. Who are you picking? Come on,
uh,
no vacillation. Come on, you pick one of them.
I'm
They're
cool
both,
with
and
Morrell, so I'm gonna say
don't say
Morrell.
it's going to be David because then you're right no
It's
matter
gonna
what.
be David. David's gonna win for sure. David's gonna win for sure. David's gonna win for sure. But I'll pick Morrell just because I'm a little closer to Morrell. That's
All
why.
right.
Morrell does train out here in Houston, so I'm a go with Morrell. You know, I'm gonna go with Morrell. My pick is Morrell.
All right. Well, in this corner's pick is for you to beat Duarte in a few weeks, and in your quest to become a three-time champion. He is Rougarou. He is Regis Prograis. Had a birthday. I got one coming up February the 5th. So hopefully I'll hear from
Aquarius. So
you.
you
And
Aquarius also.
yeah, Aquarius. Yes.
Aquarius. All right.
All
That's
right. Well,
why. That's why we cool. All right. I
yeah,
see why
yeah,
now.
brother. All right, love you. You get
All right.
back into training and Vada, and we thank you for taking some time out to be with us.
Yep.
Thanks,
All right,
Jan.
man. See y'all. Yep.
All right, he is Rougarou. We'll come back with our picks. Why, or should we stay here with our picks? I don't know. What do you want to do? Why don't we just stay here with our picks?
Why not?
Yeah,
Why
because
not?
the last segment you got some memories and moments for us. Shows what a great
Really,
guy Regis Prograis is. To
he
be
really is.
to
He
he's
really
in the
is.
middle of training. He's got beyond a crossroads fight against a real tough opponent. He's being VADA tested, and he takes the time out, to be on the program with us. That's good stuff. So, uh,
Good guy.
yeah. And so, Lee, your pick.
Okay, so Tommy went over the physicality of it. Benavidez is 6'2". He's an inch taller, but Morrell has a 4-inch reach advantage, and he fights out of the southpaw stance. The good news for Benavidez, he's fighting a lefty for the second time in his last 3 fights. But the bad news is that the lefty he fought was a faded Demetrius Andrade, who still managed to outbox him at times before retiring on his stool between rounds 6 and 7. Different kind of southpaw, I think. Um, I think Morrell will be at his most dangerous in the early rounds because he scored a lot of early knockouts and because Benavidez has been a slow starter in his last few fights. If he can catch Benavidez cold and hurt him, I think Morrell's a good enough finisher to take him out. But that said, Benavidez, for the most part, has proven that he can take a good punch. But we can't say the same for Morrell quite yet because most of his fights have been one-way traffic. How is he going to react when Benavidez finds his groove and turns on the jets? I don't know. You don't know, and he probably doesn't know for sure. I think Morrell will have the lead after 6 rounds, but I think Benavidez has the experience, he has the chin, he has the stamina. I think he's going to stage his trademark second half surge and score the late round TKO. The over under is 10.5 as we're taping. I think the stoppage will happen right before that.
Is there anything the numbers when when you were breaking down the numbers? Anything that you can tell us? For example, defensively, how do these two match up defensively? Is there any advantage either way?
I think both of them are good defensive fighters, but one would think that Benavidez is the easier guy to hit. But over the long haul, his numbers are actually pretty good. He defense was a big issue for him earlier in his career. But as he has aged, as he has matured, as he has faced better competition, his defensive numbers have gotten better. So over the long haul, he is actually a better than average defensive fighter, and we'll see if that holds up here.
I actually think, though, his best defense is his offense and what he
It
brings to
is.
the table. I have seen some in the great thing about both especially Morrell's just 11 fights, tremendous amateur pedigree, but Benavidez has like 3 times the amount. What is he? Almost 30 fights, I think.
Mhm.
So the way I see this is a terrific fight. We were talking about Simon Brown and Maurice Blocker kind of stuff, back and forth, ebb and flow, high and low. And it's one of those things where if we think we can put down and we think we have a blueprint, that might all change in the first few minutes of the fight because both
Good.
of these guys are without question facing the best fighter they've ever faced
Yes.
and the most dangerous fighter they've ever faced. By
Mhm.
far. By far. Not even close. Caleb
Right.
Plant's not as dangerous as Morrell, and I don't know who Morrell's faced, but he's never been in the ring with a monster. Not talking about anyway, but this Mexican monster.
Right.
So I think my pick is it's a flip of the coin. And if I wanted to be cutesy, I would say that Morrell has everything that is a nightmare for Benavidez. But having said that, I really believe experience means a lot. And I agree with you that big fight preparation, being used to the grand arrivals and the press conferences and all the BS that goes into these stare downs and all the garbage that it's garbage, most of it that goes on. That's where he has a real advantage because he's been there and done that. And even if Morrell handles it correctly, which I think he probably will, it's still his
Mhm.
first time handling it. So the
Yeah.
process of even handling it takes something out of you, or it can take something out of you. If I were Morrell, I wouldn't get involved in all the stuff that he's already involved in. Anyway, my pick's going to be Benavidez by something. I don't know whether it'll be a
Okay.
stoppage or it will go to the scorecards, but I'm giving the win to Benavidez because of his experience, and I don't just mean in the ring. I mean all the stuff, everything that's gone into it. this is really that first big thing for Morrell.
Yes.
But in terms of if we were to break these guys down as fighters, I mean, it's like this. One guy has a slight advantage here. One guy had, maybe Benavidez's offense is a little bit better because of the volume, but I think the other guy cracks harder. I think Morrell is a
Yes.
better one punch, guy.
Yes.
And then with their defense and other things, great fight. It's fun to be even talking about a fight where I don't think I know who's going to win. And unlike Beterbiev and Bivol, where Styles didn't make for, that wasn't a great fight. It really wasn't. It was a really good fight, but this one is going to be, I think, a great fight. The only thing that could F that up would be some kind of a cut or something unexpected. So I like Benavidez to win the fight by something. Benavidez by something.
Benavidez by some. This could be the first entry for 2025 Fight of the Year. Who knows?
Absolutely. Speaking of fights of the year, when we come
Yeah.
back from the break, tease it a little bit as we go to break.
Well, we're going to go relive a previous Ring Magazine Fight of the Year that took place exactly 60 years ago to the day that you're seeing this program.
Unbelievable. All right. But before we go to break, it is time. That time that we wait for, where we talk about Dr. Nam.
Fun.
There you go. You're a little late on the trigger there with Dr. Fon.
We usually have me say the whole name.
Well, we're changing things up. We're switching
Okay,
switching
fine.
things up. Speaking of switching things up, that's what he does. He's an alternative to caps and crowns and bridges, and I know he does all that stuff, but really he specializes in full mouth cosmetic veneers and implants. And a lot of people get nervous about all of that stuff because of what goes into it. The extractions with the sedation and everything that needs to be done. And he does a great job. Sometimes for these implants, there has to be a situation where bone needs to be built up in order for the implants to take seed and even work. And it's an interesting process, and I know all about it because I'm going through with it. But Dr. Fon does a great job. He's in New York, he's in Jersey, he's in California. Of course, he's in Las Vegas. But I just want to give you one number to call. If you're in the market, so to speak, for implants, I highly recommend Dr. Nam Fon. His number is 702-637-9168, 702-637-9168. One of the other concerns about getting all of this stuff done is money, baby. It's expensive. Dr. Nam has some tremendous flexible financial options for you. If he can't help you with putting all of this together financially, nobody can. Dr. Nam Fon will be back.
I got two options. Option one, I can accept defeat. Option two, I can get up. I can get tougher. I can get faster. I can get stronger. And then I go get mine. I made my choice. Have you made yours?
Back, final segment in this corner, the podcast, as we await David Benavidez versus David Morrell, which could be a fight of the year. I think it's going to be that type of a fight, I believe. But speaking of fights of the year, Lee?
Yeah, 60 years ago today, you're seeing this on February 1. 60 years ago today, Floyd Patterson and George Chuvalo staged Ring Magazine's 1965 Fight of the Year before a standing room only crowd inside Madison Square Garden. The 30-year-old Patterson, the first ever two-time heavyweight champion, entered the match with a record of 41-4, and he was on a 3-fight winning streak after losing his second fight with Sonny Liston. Meanwhile, the 27-year-old Chuvalo boasted a record of 29-8-2, and he was on a 4-fight winning streak, all by knockout. At 208 pounds, he outweighed Patterson by 10 3/4 pounds. And he did his best in the early rounds to impose his superior strength, his higher work rate, and his vicious body punching. Patterson began to rally in the middle rounds, and his sharper, easier to see combinations allowed him to cut into Chuvalo's early lead. Patterson often fought in spurts here, while Chuvalo was the consistent grinder. Maybe something we'll see with Regis Prograis' upcoming fight. Muhammad Ali was actually doing commentary with Don Dunphy, and he openly cheered for Patterson. And in the end, Patterson won a close but unanimous decision. Now, not too many years ago, I conducted a retro count of this fight using the CopyBox program, and the numbers backed up the verdict. Although Chuvalo averaged 57 and a half punches per round to Patterson's 37, the former champion was far more accurate. He landed 44% of his total punches and 45% of his power shots, compared to Chuvalo's 27% overall and 33% power, respectively.
Were there any
Chuvalo's
knockdowns?
body,
We know damn well Chuvalo didn't go down. Were there any knockdowns, or was Patterson ever hurt?
Patterson was stunned, but I don't think he ever went down. But Chuvalo's body attack, it was superb. He landed 135 body shots compared to Patterson's 48. But Patterson ended the fight ahead, 194 to 188 in total connects. Very close fight because of his far superior accuracy. And if you look at the round by round breakdown of total connects, Patterson was up 8 rounds to 4, which was the same as one of the judges. The others had it 7 rounds to 5 and 6-5 and 1. Patterson challenged Ali 2 fights later, and he ended up losing by a 12th round TKO because he suffered from back issues, and that really hindered his effort. Ali and Patterson fought again in 1972, and while Patterson fought much better, a swollen eye forced him to retire on his stool and then retire from boxing altogether. Meanwhile, Chuvalo got his own shot at Muhammad Ali's title, first in 1966, and then he fought a non-title fight with Ali in 1972. Both fights were staged in Chuvalo's native Canada. Ali won both fights on points, the first over 15 rounds for the title and the second over 12 rounds. But George gave it his best.
What was Ali's nickname? Washer or something?
Washerwoman, he called
Washerwoman.
And
Yeah.
George got a kick out of it. In one of the publicity appearances, George actually dressed in a washerwoman
I know.
outfit.
It just came. By the way, I was able to interview Patterson a few times on radio, and once I did a live remote with him in studio in Fort Myers, Florida. And you're looking right now at a few pictures of George Chuvalo and myself when we had him on in this corner. We weren't able to do the in-ring segment. That was like, I think it was like 2011. And Chuvalo could have done it actually physically then, believe it or not. He still could have done it. But he was a fantastic interview. In fact, you know what we'll do? We'll close the show. We'll close this show with a little clip from George Chuvalo on. He didn't win that fight, but he's going to close out this show. A little bit of George Chuvalo as we close out. Great fight. You're going to enjoy it. We'll come back next week and talk about Benavidez and Morrell. And Ron Borges will be with us, the Hall of Fame writer. Take it away, George Chuvalo. So long, everybody. Ali, Frazier, Foreman, never off your feet your entire career. That's got to be one of the most amazing things ever, especially in light of all those names I mentioned. How did you manage to stay upright all the time?
Well, first of all, I never thought much about getting knocked down for most of my career. Until people started talking about it. I never thought about it. I never thought, okay, I've had 27 fights now, I've never been knocked down. I never thought like that. That never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind. It's kind of strange. Although, having said that, I did take precautions to make sure I had a strong neck girdle and, make strong neck and strong jaws, and plus coupled with my natural assets of having a fairly big head. I think a strong cranium, short neck.
Powerful legs.
Strong legs too. I think they all work in my favor.